All right, take a look at the morning newspapers this morning, and Daily Maverick associate editor Ferial Haffajee joining us via Zoom this morning. Hello to you, Ferial. Let's start with the Mercury, shall we? Let's say good morning to KZN. Metal workers demanding salary increases. It seems, according to experts, they're simply demanding too much this time.
So the NUMSA strike is probably one of the biggest that we've seen in a very long time. Workers demanding just over 8% plus a 3-year agreement that's in excess of inflation. And the bosses are saying absolutely not. They put 4% on the table. I saw last night that SIFSA, that's the employers union, and NUMSA were getting closer to an agreement. But I thought something interesting that Irvin Jim alluded to earlier in the week was that the share of national income that goes to wages as opposed to profits and other forms of money has been going down for a couple of decades. So he's using that as a bargaining chip. I do think this will be settled in the week. Nobody wants a big and long strike in such a vital industry.
No, not a good time for a strike at all this time, Ferial. But I want to move on to another story on the front page of the Mercury. Vote ANC, says the former President Jacob Zuma. I mean, personally, I have to be honest, I didn't expect to hear from him publicly, let alone in a video, so soon after his medical parole, given that he's not well. But he's saying that he's quite worried about those who are saying they will boycott the elections.
Earlier in the week, the KZN ANC expressed some concern. I saw various reports that if the former president called for a boycott, that would be big trouble for KZN and for the ANC more broadly, because we know that former President Jacob Zuma has enormous sway still in that province. So he's coming out calling for an ANC vote, clearly sees them breathing a sigh of relief. He's still the key figure. Not many other politicians are that well known in the province, where 20% of registered voters are. It's one of the top 3 provinces to watch if you want a national picture out of this election. So obviously that is quite significant, but like you say, it also shows that the former president is doing quite well if he can make a video.
Yeah, not bad on medical parole. All right, let's go to the witness quickly, Ferial, if we could. I want to just talk to you as well about City Press before we say goodbye to you, but just quickly on the witness. I mean, this is, again, another one of these. We're talking about the stadium. Now we're talking about a road down in the Eastern Cape and wasteful expenditure. It's the KZN Arts and Culture Department wasting 4 million rand on 2 buses intended for mobile libraries. And again, Ferial, we're going to sit here and talk about millions of rands. And we just forget, I think, we lose the essence of how much money we're talking about.
It's a lot of money.
Sure. I mean, mobile libraries in a country like ours and in a largely rural province, if they were in Umsunduzi, they are vital for young people to get books. But there they were sitting just on an open sports field, commissioned, bought, but never ever used. So we've seen lots of this, white elephants, for which we spend tens of millions of rands, billions in the case of our trains, and the working class just doesn't get to use them. So yes, that is another one of those wasteful expenditure stories. I don't know the City Press story, but perhaps you could tell it to me.
Sorry, that was my apology. I was looking at the City Press Twitter accounts, and I was going to talk to you about City Press. Ferial, ignore me on that. Of course, I'm not going to talk about that. I think just before we say goodbye to you, we're going to just bring in the Herald newspaper, which I know you haven't seen, which I think maybe we'll leave for after you, Ferial. Just tell us quickly what is happening in the Daily Maverick before we say goodbye to you.
So the Daily Maverick focusing a lot on environmental stories as we head to the run-up of the big meeting at the end of the month, and obviously watching the elections, because we really are headed to the final crunch 2 weeks. So our teams are out all across the country, and I do hope that you get to see some of that work.
I hope we will as well. Daily Maverick associate editor Ferial Haffajee, my apologies. I was looking at the City Press Twitter account and I've just, my mind went blank for a second. And the Herald talking about that sports field as well that we've been covering as well.